Hey, everybody. This is your daily dose of all things royal. Continuing on, this is part 2 in the series of reviewing the blind items from the beginning. This next blind item says, dated December 9th, 2018, some palace intrigue. Apparently, sides have been drawn, and this next in line is joining forces with the illiterate one we all know to try and get extra time or any time as top of the pile. And that would be Prince Charles. Now, this is perfect timing because today the UK Times had published another excerpt from Valentine Low's book, The Courtiers. And let me read some of it to you because it talks about Prince Charles and how easily influenced he is. Giving us insight into the king's personality, Valentine Low writes, anyone working for Prince Charles had to face two key difficulties. One was the internal backstabbing. The other was how to deal with the helpful suggestions made by all the outside advisors that Charles also spoke to. Over the years, there have been scores of them, whispering in his ear their thoughts on architecture, alternative medicine, business, organic farming, housing, Islamic art, rainforests, crop circles, and the media. In his 20s, Charles came under the influence of Laurens van der Post, the South African-born writer, explorer, and mystic, who once wrote him a letter outlining how he could transform the monarchy to fit a new vision of society that would restore the individual to a lost natural aspect of the human spirit. Charles was not always a good judge of who should have his ear. Jimmy Savile, the broadcaster and charity fundraiser, after his death was revealed to have been an abuser, wrote a handbook for Charles on how the royal family should deal with the media after big disasters. Charles passed on his tips to the Duke of Edinburgh, who in turn showed them to the Queen. So as you can see, after hearing this, it would make sense if Meghan Markle was able to get the attention of King Charles back in the day. This next one we know is a fact. Not only was it confirmed in Tom Bower's book, but we ourselves have found accounts that we know belong to her. It says, the illiterate former actress turned A-plus list celebrity apparently has a Twitter and Instagram account under a fake name she uses to take shots at people who take shots at her. We've all suspected that accounts in the past, such as like Strong Right, Circle 33, I even showed recently Instagram account as well as a Twitter account with the squatties. Some of them belong to her. What I think is going to be interesting is when Samantha does go to trial, this is all going to come out because part of Samantha's case is the bullying and harassment that she had received when all of this went down and her sister had taken out pretty much a campaign against her to discredit her. Not only in finding freedom, but we know that this was being done with her PR firm and in the media. So I can't wait to see all of that come out because we're going to find out about all these accounts. And I'll throw in the word allegedly. Ultimate Knee Padding Weekly Magazine is being paid a monthly fee through a PR company for approximately 10 positive stories per month about this illiterate former actress turned celebrity. From the beginning, Meghan Markle was flooding the media with this PR propaganda. It became so obvious during 2019 and into 2020 that there was obviously a PR campaign that was pushing out these articles daily, sometimes 2 to 3 times a day. It's not an exaggeration that she burned a lot of money to do this. We were flooded daily. The thing is because she is so sloppy in the sense of keeping the story straight, you began to see how biased and one-sided and, quite frankly, the propaganda being pushed out, obviously influenced by the PR firm. What we see today, after the announcement, or I think I've noticed this since the beginning of August, that People magazine no longer has been pushing anything with Meghan Markle to put her on the front cover because one, she's not selling newspapers, and two, they're probably not getting paid anymore to do it. She's paying Sunshine Sachs $3 to $5 million a year. And then how much do you think she was paying these media outlets to basically run ads about her? right? We're not going to even call that journalism. We're going to call it publicity ads to paint some sort of image or facade that, quite frankly, was not working. Companies are waking up because what we're seeing is that anything that is attached to the Harkles, such as People Magazine, Sunshine Sacks, Spotify, Netflix, everything that they're touching turns to shit. So there's no doubt in my mind that people lost money because people were not buying the magazines or not wanting to read the articles. I mean, we already know about what's going on with Spotify and Netflix. Sunshine Sacks distance themselves because, sure, they have not done a good job in managing her image. In fact, it's gotten worse. A lot of money was lost, hence the reason why you see people moving away from them. And then this blind item a month later talks about it again, where it says there is now a minimum requirement of 5 to 7 puff pieces per day praising the illiterate former actress turned A-list celebrity. I wonder how all of that will play out when the former husband decides to sell the wedding reception video that is being fought about behind the scenes. Ooh! Now, this is something that Netflix needs to track down and add to the so-called documentary, aka reality show, that Meghan and Harry are doing on their love story. This next one shows just about how thirsty she really is. It says, this illiterate former actress turned A-list celebrity invited dozens upon dozens of A-plus A-list celebrities to her baby shower. The vast majority said no. So now our former actress is telling everyone she is not allowed to have a shower. The same rule was in place prior to the invitations, but she was going to ignore the rule. Now suddenly she is going to follow it? Okay. Yeah, I think there's some truth to it. I mean, at the end of the day, she did go ahead and have a baby shower, but let's remember that back in 2018, at the end of the year, according to Tom's book, it had stated that Harry and Meghan were meeting with Oprah to discuss and negotiate these deals on the birth of Archie and exclusive rights. So there's no doubt in my mind that they had a hand in helping this shower because Gail showed up to it. The majority of the celebrities that went are represented by Sunshine Sacks. So what this was essentially was a PR exercise, because when you look at the celebrities, and if you go back to Tom Bauer's book, it does talk about the various celebrities and the stake that they had within that shower because they had something to promote at the time. Now, this next one is bang on the money. And notice the date, January 3rd, 2019, when this was dropped. Unlike some other relatives, this illiterate former actress turned A-plus list celebrity wants a certain designation for her offspring and won't settle for anything less. Well, guys, now we understand why she made up that lie on Oprah and why they have been pushing so hard for the titles. This woman all along wanted these titles. This bitch! Our favorite illiterate actress turned celebrity is accepting money from designers to wear certain clothes and products. She doesn't care at all that it's against protocol. She is cashing in. You notice, you guys, that in this particular blind item, they don't call her royal. They continue to call her celebrity. We all know that this is true. There's a reason why she's called Merching Meg. Meghan's mirror, for example, is connected to her. So obviously, when things went up on the website, we knew that there was promoting going on and money being transferred from the back end. What I don't understand is she married into a family that has unlimited resources and money. Why would you need to do this? It's like so tacky. Now, this blind item appears to be an afterthought because Meghan Markle's shower was February 18th. So I believe they knew about this because it was already in the press. It says, as I told you before, this illiterate former actress turned A-plus list celebrity was going to have a baby shower no matter what. She couldn't have one in the country where she lives no matter how much she fought for it because they are frowned upon for her status in life. So she traveled thousands of miles for one. I'm sure part of the gifts will be all kinds of drugs for when she can take them after the birth. From what I gather, after reading these blind items in order, there appears to be a sentiment that Meghan was indeed pregnant. because if they are insinuating that she is a drug user, then it makes sense why she was not taking these drugs because she was pregnant at the time. But we'll continue on. And apparently, she took a private jet for this baby shower. So I'm kind of curious to wonder whose dime was that on? Was that on the taxpayer's dime? So at this point in time, it states they can play around with words however they want, but the rift between the two foreign-born A-plus list celebrities is because of the illiterate former actress. And we know that this is 100% true. It's at this point, I believe, the Royal Foundation split and the separate houses then became known to the public. The fallout was over Meghan Markle and how she treated the staff. It was what caused the big row between the brothers. William was so furious after he spoke to the staff worker that broke out in tears when he asked her if she was okay, that he called his brother Harry, and immediately Harry hung up the phone. And then that's when William went over to Kensington Palace to talk to him directly, and that's when the fight broke out, and hence the reason why they ended up splitting and moving away, because it got so bad. Interestingly enough, William did not blame Meghan. In fact, he blamed Harry for not showing Meghan how to work with the staff and how they do things. I think that really pissed Harry off because he was furious that they weren't raised to treat people that way. And the fact that he should have reined in his wife and told her, no, that's not what you do and that's not how you treat people. And apparently Harry was pissed off that he was scolded. But yes, when you boil it down, Meghan was the reason because she was the one bullying people. Here's another blind item that could potentially wreck her if it does come out that it's true. So it says, I told you many times ago that the sex tape existed that has the illiterate former actress turned married celebrity. That has now been confirmed by an A-list celebrity sex tape broker who has seen the video and is publicly speaking about it. Now, I believe that they're referring to that podcast where the guy said that he was sent a video of her going down on some guy, and he doesn't have a copy of it. I think he said he deleted it, but you know, the internet's forever, and I wouldn't doubt that it's out there somewhere if that is true. Now, I don't have any evidence to say that it is. This is all just gossip. So now fast forward, we're March 25th, 2019. It says, there are no work commitments that would have kept the thirsty foreign-born A-list actress away from the celebration of a life event for the former illiterate actress. Not a chance. She wasn't invited. That was Priyanka Chopra. When I first read this, I thought they were talking about Priyanka Chopra's wedding to Nick Jonas, which was in December 2018. So then when I went to go check this out to confirm who exactly they were talking about, whether it was Meghan or whether it was Priyanka, it turns out that Priyanka had invited Meghan to her wedding in India. And Meghan, for whatever reason, we know the reason, she didn't go. Now, fast forward, it's Meghan that didn't invite Priyanka to the baby shower. If you haven't noticed, Priyanka does not talk about her bestie, Meghan Markle. Let's be real, when was the last time they were seen together? And I love the shade at what Sunshine Sachs did this year for Global Citizen in New York City. We all know that Sunshine Sachs has a big hand in promoting this event, and we know that last year, I can almost guarantee that the Harkles paid for them to be on this so-called board. Well, it's kind of interesting that this year, Global Citizen asked Priyanka Chopra to host it, and the Harkles were nowhere in sight. These are very clear indications that Sunshine Sachs is no longer supporting or representing the Harkles. Otherwise, they would have put them up in here and featured them on the front. So now we're at March 27, 2019. This is not yet in Montecito. This is still in London. The illiterate former actress turned royal is isolating her husband from anyone who would possibly counsel him to separate from the former actress. She wants to be his only friend, to rely on her. It kind of feels like something an abusive man would do. Now, keep in mind, the U.S. is still held in the dark. We don't know what's going on overseas. Now, the only one that I'm aware of from an American perspective that was talking about her from the very beginning was Danger Zone. But at the time, I wasn't following her because she was a small channel and it didn't even come up on my radar. But what I started to see in 2019, or actually the end of 2018, when Thomas Markle started to make some noise, was you saw Celt Views come onto the scene. And then the following year, we started to see Murky Meg, and we saw Shams, and we saw Yankee Wally, and we saw then finally Taz start coming up on the scene. So now you have a majority of Brits and one American, talking about what is going on over in the UK. So now we can understand why there is so much emphasis on trying to get these channels to get shut down, was because everything here in the US was being suppressed. And if it was not for those channels, we would still be kept in the dark and thinking very differently. Where it really then started to gain traction and attention was then when Lady C came onto the scene in 2020 to then talk about this couple and promote her book. And, it's then have grown. And it is a blessing that we have this platform to be able to triangulate and verify information. What I would like to see, that since now everything is being exposed, I would love to see these original content creators who saw this from the beginning get some credit and also be a source and reference, because a lot of the stuff that they have documented and talked about has now been coming out. And now that this has been gaining more traction in the mainstream media in the United States, I think it's important that we don't forget that the people who were the ones that exposed this from the very beginning were the ones that I had just mentioned. And, for all the crap that they have gone through with the targeted harassment and the abuse, there is a real story there that needs to come out. Now that it is known that Meghan Markle has been so deceitful and so mean and nasty to people, that, the abuse that these folks took as a result of her should be exposed. And it's my hope that these content creators get recognized in some way for being the ones to make sure that the truth was always at the forefront. So now you understand why there was such a campaign going on to get people off of Twitter from talking and to also get people off of YouTube from talking. So at this point, Archie has yet to be born, and it says here, there are lots of offers always out there for the former actress turned celebrity. The thing is, though, she can't take them. What if, though, it was just a voiceover role? Interesting thought, angle that is very intriguing to the actress, and maybe palatable enough for those that make the rules. Now, notice the date. It's April 3rd, 2019. Many might have thought immediately about The Lion King, but let's remember that Harry didn't pitch to Bob Iger until July of 2019. So this blind item was pretty spot on. Now, I don't know how true this is, but it did say that when you can pick up the phone and call Mark Zuckerberg, I guess you can get the social media handle you want, even if it has already been used by someone. They didn't even bother to ask the owner because they are so entitled. Now, I highly doubt that Meghan picked up the phone and said, get Mark Zuckerberg on the phone so I can ask him about this username that we want. I'm sure it was Harry that decided to do that and had the pull to do it because, again, they were using the royal brand in order to, as the brand has value and puts them at a different status in society. Now, I wonder if we were to call up Facebook today and use the excuse that Sussex Royal has been inactive the last 2 years, I wonder if they would make the exception to turn it over because in theory, they are digital squatting as well. So if anybody has Instagram, why not lob in a request and see what happens? I would do it, but I don't have an Instagram account. So a couple of years ago, this permanent A++ list celebrity didn't and wouldn't have given the time of day to the former illiterate actress turned celebrity. But now she sees ratings and the former actress is her dear friend. Well, we all know how that worked out. Before anybody knew anything, back in April 2019, it says, don't believe the hype. The talk is Africa. But why is there a palace employee accompanying a real estate agent around town in Los Angeles looking for a home in the $10 million range? I believe this, and being that this was Los Angeles, you know that people on the street are very well connected over there. So for them to hear about this palace employee walking around, I guarantee some real estate agent must have leaked that information to get to this blind item. Meghan never had any intention of living in Africa. Oh, God, no. Nor did she have any intention of living in Canada. That was just the route that they were trying to take to show that, yeah, we're thinking about staying with the Commonwealth, but we're going to need to come up with an excuse or another lie that will force us into California. But I guarantee that the whole entire time, Meghan Markle had her eyes set on Los Angeles. Now, if this is indeed true, then that means this is another lie that they told on Oprah.
We can just take a step back. We can do it in a Commonwealth country. We had suggested New Zealand, South Africa.
Take a breath.
Canada.
Yeah.
The next blind item about this evil twat says, apparently the source for a lot of anti-brother and sister-in-law gossip is coming straight from the illiterate former actress. The tips have really ramped up since getting a social media account again. And this is when it really began in the United States with media outlets that and her PR team have been paying. So magazines like Slate and Time and People, pretty much the left biased perspective, were told this gossip. Thus, it ended up saturating, I want to say the tabloids for a little bit, because Kate and William far more popular than these two. Meghan is filled with so much hate and jealousy that, of course, she has been fueling a lot of this trouble. May 5th, 2019, blind item drops. As I told you a few weeks ago, the media covering the palace have now confirmed that the illiterate one and her royal companion are indeed looking for a house in Los Angeles. So I'm going to say that there is truth to this because we have seen the results of, or the end result of all of this. So everything that they have been saying about willing to work and be part of the Commonwealth, all of that was bull crap. Lies. These blind items are so fun to read now because we know a lot more, so now it all makes sense. This one says, interesting to see the illiterate former actress turned A-plus list celebrity, I beg to differ, complaining about treatment she has received from others when she complained to producers to get 2 actresses fired because she thought they were getting too many lines at her expense. Now, I never watched Suits, so I wouldn't know who those 2 actresses were, but I believe it because in Tom Bower's book, he did mention that there was a bit of friction towards the end with the cast members. And this blind item shows that no matter what anybody did at the palace or what they were given, Meghan Markle was never going to be happy. She had no intention of staying there, and she was making everything difficult on purpose so she could turn around and do what she did and say, oh, see how they were against me? I'm so glad we got out of there. They were so mean. Moving on, May 21st, 2019. Several fixers and yachters are finally speaking out about how the illiterate former actress was bouncing from wealthy man to the next, hoping for one to stick. She doesn't care who they were as long as they were wealthy. Well, she managed to exceed her own expectations. There must be some truth to this because now I have lost count as to how many times in these blind items they talk about her being a yacht girl. Again, if this was a lie, then you know Meghan would be suing. And the very next blind item talks about it again, where it says the friend of the royal who arranged the original yachting meet with the illiterate actress is someone the actress does not want associating with the royal. However, that friend has accompanied the royal on a trip out of the country, and a longtime former girlfriend of the royal flew into that same country. Meeting? Now, I'm not really sure about this one because I do know that after Archie's birth, Harry did then go travel to Google camp in Sicily, Italy, where he gave a speech, but I don't know if Tom Inskip went with him. But then there was also this in the same month of June where allegedly he met up with Chelsea Davy. So if anybody has any clarity on this one, please leave your comments below, because I really can't confirm one way or another if this blind item is accurate. Now, this one is a new one for me. I didn't see this until doing this video today, and it says the illiterate former actress is supposedly renovating the place she is going to call her permanent home. The thing is, though, she has, except for things that are going to be made public, been staying at a different residence. The residence is a rental that she gets for free, but like many of her other scams, involves her getting reimbursed for what the rental would cost if she was actually paying. Do you guys have any idea what this is talking about? Because I don't. Again, here's another blind item referencing Megan's yachting days. I love how the foreign-born A-, B+ list actress likes to invent things she discussed with the illiterate former actress to make them look like they were talking about important world affairs, rather than comparing yachting and casting couch stories. That's Priyanka Chopra. Now, I don't recall or remember her talking anything about world affairs with Meghan Markle. I could be wrong. I could have missed that. I just don't know. Next up, this one says, apparently the illiterate former actress turned A+ list celebrity was drunk or at least heavily buzzed during a recent very public appearance. Her alcohol intake was severely restricted for nearly a year, so she has been indulging. Looks like she overindulged. Oh yeah, how could we forget this moment where she cleared out the whole section for her and her friends to sit there? Yeah, I remember this. Her in that stupid Panama hat. She looks so silly. Yeah, this definitely looks like she is sauced up to the extreme. This next blind item just shows how nuts this woman is. The illiterate former actress turned A-list celebrity has taken to posting on social media in the third person. Apparently, it has started to seep into her DM conversations too, and she refers to herself in the third person and is becoming annoying because in private, she does it to make herself seem more important. Now, I don't have anything that confirms this on record that Strong Right on Twitter is Meghan Markle. However, there is enough evidence by many people who are pointing in the direction that it is her. And if you listen to these texts, it's exactly what the blind item says. Now, for this particular one, this tweet by Strong Right, one of Meghan Markle's personality quirks is that she loves to name drop. Even if she doesn't have a relationship with them, will associate herself in some way to make people think that there is a strong connected relationship when actuality it's quite embellished. She did this quite frequently when she was running that TIG lifestyle blog. Tom Bauer did write about Emma Watson and how she had wanted to meet her, but then didn't get a chance to, but she still wrote a glowing review about her. It's really disturbing to know that this person has to make up fictitious people and pretend that she's different people in order to make herself feel better. It's quite sad, actually. Okay, we're going to finish this video with this last blind item. Dated July 3rd, 2019, it says, considering how much they are not getting along right now, and what a disaster that last overseas trip ended up being, this upcoming trip should be one for the ages. I wonder if the foreign-born permanent A+ list celebrity really knew what he was in for when he got married. Now, this one's a little bit of a mystery to me. It's not Africa. And I wonder if this blind item was based off of this news article. As you can see, it's dated July 2nd, which the blind item came out on July 3rd. Now, we all know that they ended up snubbing the Queen and instead went to go hang out with Elton John in the south of France, taking a private jet. Now, these two assholes in August of 2019 allowed the papers to break that they were enjoying a holiday in the south of France to visit family friend Elton John. Now, the gracious Queen had invited this couple to go to Balmoral and was totally willing to celebrate Meghan's birthday and spend time with her. But this ungrateful human being thought that she had better plans than to spend time with the Queen of England, but instead chose to viciously attack with lies and hurt the family as well as the people of Great Britain, causing tremendous amount of stress to an elderly woman, and gave her entire life to others only to have her death accelerated by someone who's not even worthy to clean up the Queen's dog's dog shit. Remember her behavior the next time you ever hear her talk about the Queen and talk about her respect for her. Let me know what you think below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell button because I will be back soon to continue the rest of these blind items. I will be back soon. Bye.
It was such a fraud.